A warm welcome to everybody who's tuning in. Hello, wherever you are. Welcome to this channel. We are gonna have so much fun. We're gonna be talking about all things Canada as an immigrant. My story will be very similar to yours. I am an immigrant to Canada. I moved here 12 years ago. I am an example of somebody who's living the Canadian dream. Please like, share, and subscribe to follow my journey as an immigrant. Like many people, I did not have a job when I was moving to Canada, but had saved up enough money according to the guidelines as they specify for an individual. It actually took 4 months getting a stable job. I wish I had started this process earlier for looking for a job before arriving, but hopefully you can learn from some of my do's and don'ts. A little bit of background. At the time of immigrating to Canada, I had a bachelor's and a master's degree, both in information technology fields, in addition to 5 years of working experience. As a matter of fact, if you have not yet submitted your application to immigrate to Canada and want to start, don't be discouraged. Wherever you are, every corner of the world, Canada is a melting pot. It took me 8 months to get my permanent residency approved as a skilled worker, and I hear things have improved somewhat, so get started. The sooner the better. My channel will focus on life after getting to Canada and how you make the most of it and live your best life as an immigrant. If you have children, this is the best place to bring them up. Actually, this is one of the most driving factors that led me to immigrate to Canada when I looked at a few other countries. Hospitals and schools are all free. I know a lot of people cannot relate to this or grasp that concept, but the fact that you can go to hospital and not see a bill, that's a big bonus. Living in Ontario and similar to the rest of Canada, the government supplements your income monthly based on how much you make and how big your family is. That is, the government would send you monthly checks as they assess where you stand in terms of your income. Examples of such programs where the government does supplement your income is the Canadian Child Benefit that's given through the Canadian Revenue Agency, also known as CRA. So this check would help with the cost of raising children under the age of 18. So everybody less than 18 years old would get a check monthly. And this would cover the costs of daycare or supplement the cost of daycare and any activities your children may be involved in. And if you have children that have disabilities, you would get an extra amount. So if you are all set and ready to make the move, welcome to Canada, or as they say,
Bienvenue au Canada.
Your main airport if arriving in Ontario, Toronto, the city of Toronto, would be Pearson Airport. There are also smaller airports within the city and surrounding cities. For example, there's the Billy Bishop Airport that's right in downtown Toronto. I landed in Toronto. I can almost remember that day. And after going through immigration, I was out of the airport and ready to explore and conquer this country. So you probably have a million questions. Where do you start? How do you wrap your head around what you need to do right away? And hopefully I can give you a few hints to get started. Now, before I moved, I had to pick a place I was going to set base, and I chose a very budget-friendly motel in the outskirts of Toronto for the first 3 weeks and ate all sorts of unhealthy foods out of convenience. It was just survival while I planted my roots, right? Found a place to stay. Firstly, you will need to get a SIN, and SIN as in SIN, and that's your social insurance number, as well as your health card that's issued by the government. That SIN card is your identification with the government. So each individual has a unique SIN card, and based also on your status, it would start with certain numbers, so they would know if you're permanent or if you're just passing by, but everybody does get a SIN card. So this SIN card is what is used to track your income, your benefits, and as I've mentioned, know your immigration status. So when you get employment or you're filing your taxes, this number is what would be printed to identify who you are and how much the government owes you or you owe the government, right? The Canadian health card, or you'll hear it being called OHIP, is what you submit at any healthcare facility, so the government pays for the services you have received. So if you go see a doctor, the doctor would bill the government for the services he's provided you with, and you would present your health card at the hospital to get those services. Now, in order for you to apply for your health card and your SIN card, you need to look for any Service Canada office. If you Google your nearest Service Canada office, you'll see a number of offices, and you can choose one that's nearest to you to go and apply. Now, if you are like me, you have already asked yourself, how do I navigate this city? How do I get around? How do I go from one place to the other? Do I use a taxi? Do I use a bus? What are my options? If you are in Toronto, for example, which is where I am located, you can get what we call a Metro card, and these are available at numerous vending machines, including at the airport as well. And this is the card you can use on the subways, on the bus, wherever you want to go, you just tap and go. One ride ticket would cost for an adult about $3.25. And you just load the money on the card, and then every time you get on a bus or a subway, you tap to subtract the amount. And this is valid, the amount is valid for a one-way trip. So if I change the bus in the middle of my trip and my trip is not yet finished, I don't need to pay again. It'll just be one cost. Now, some additional benefits is if you are a senior and or between 13 to 19 years, at the time of making this video, the costs would be about $128.15 for a monthly pass. That means you get one card and you can travel as much as you want throughout the city. And for everybody else, you'll be paying about $156 for a monthly pass, which is very economical when you think about it. You make so many trips, and for a monthly pass, I mean, it's non-stop. You can travel the whole day if you want to. And not forgetting the children. So all the kids under 12 years of age get to ride the Metro free, so they can go anywhere in the province and not have to pay a dime. So that's a very big benefit and a good way to travel. Most people do use the subway. So now the next thing on your to-do list, now that you know how to get around the city, would be to get a more permanent place to stay. So you would be looking for a house or a condo to rent. Lots of people stay in condos, and there are various ways to find one. Definitely feel free to skip this stage if you have a truck full of gold and you may wish to stay in a hotel for the remainder of your stay. But if not, and you are like everybody else, come along and let us figure out how we get you a place. One thing I found interesting is when I was looking for a place outside Canada, I didn't realize the website in Canada, the domain is .ca. So if you're looking at a website and it has .ca, that is a good chance it is a Canadian website and you will not get scammed. But you'll find a number of resources online. For example, rentals.ca or viewit.ca would give you a list of apartments ready for rental. There were a few surprises when it came to finding a place. The biggest one being that people actually bid for rental properties. And this, I think, is more common in larger cities like Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal. People will actually post a price and people will offer more money so that they get the place. I lived in Toronto and I strategically chose downtown since it was central and I didn't know where I would be working, so I assumed it would be easy to get around. So I looked for a rental for about 2 weeks. It took me 2 weeks between, getting appointments and going to view the places in between people's availabilities. And with the help of a realtor, I luckily found a place downtown by the waterfront. That's a really pretty area if you're in Toronto, and it's near the subway and you have access to amenities, so I was lucky in that way. I found it easier to navigate with a realtor because they would open my eyes to different places. They would let me know about security in certain areas, and they drive you around so you can actually see what the areas look like, what amenities are available, and that's a bonus. And realtors would be the same people selling houses, but they do also rent. Now, if you ask yourself where you find these realtors, they do have offices everywhere. This is a big business in Canada, and especially in the bigger cities, so you will find them located all over the city. Examples of some of the realtors that I did use, I believe I tried Remax, that's REMAX. Remax is a big popular one. I also saw Royal LePage, that was a real popular one. And as I mentioned, additional benefits to using a realtor is, he showed me around all the amenities, the areas, showed me where I'd be going to buy groceries, hospitals, subways. And since I didn't have a car, I wanted to make sure these amenities were close enough for me to walk. Summer, winter, so I had to make sure that worked for me. Now, don't feel guilty or think that you would have to incur extra expenses. The realtor does collect a commission from the rental owner for bringing clients to rent the place. So it would not cost you extra. It would be part of the service they're doing to make sure the rental owners find a renter for properties. So just for an example, when I moved here, and this was back in 2009, I was staying in downtown, realizing this is maybe a bit higher in terms of rental than outside the city. My rent at the time was about $1,500 a month, and that included utilities, and the condo was actually 400 square feet, so that was pretty small. So a 1-bedroom, 1-bath, kitchen, living room sort of setup. Once my application was selected by the renter, I was required to give the landlord the first and last month's rent as deposit, and I had to do that through a banker's check. So I honestly feel like I lucked out in getting the place, as most people find it challenging to actually find a place within the city. It used to be competitive, but I think during COVID time, this has slowed down. So if you're thinking of moving into the city, Toronto, you may be lucky as well. So if you're coming from outside the country and you're worried, where do I get furniture from? I would ask myself, what furniture? I think this is more of just getting settled. As long as you have a roof over your head, I think you're good to go. I moved with 3 suitcases, and I kid you not, 3 suitcases of clothes, and that included 1 duvet just because I love that duvet, which is like a blanket, and I couldn't imagine my life without it. So I had packed it in one of my suitcases, and that is all I brought with me. Then a day before I moved into the new place, I went to Walmart, and Walmart is a store where you can buy supplies. Prices are reasonable, and I got an air mattress at a nominal cost to me. And as you guessed, that mattress was my bed, my couch, my everything, as I slowly started settling into the city and buying, you know, one thing after the other. But I had to budget. It was not a big bang, it was a staggered approach, so when I afford, I'd pick up some. Now with Amazon, and this would be amazon.ca, you can buy a few essentials at competitive prices and have them delivered to an Amazon locker. And these are lockers where that are affiliated to Whole Foods supermarket, because Amazon owns Whole Foods supermarkets. You'd find these lockers where you'd find a Whole Foods supermarket, and you don't require a physical address. You just tell them which locker to send it to, and you go and access the locker. Now, when I moved to Toronto, I didn't know anybody. But as you can imagine, the city is big, and that soon changed as I connected with old friends. I had no idea lived inside the city or in the city with me, and they introduced me to friends. So, you know, it's been a blessing to be in Canada. And as long as you have an open mind, which is what you require if you're immigrating into a new country, to be able to learn the culture, different people you meet, mingle with them, you will soon, you know, find that your social circles expand and you'll make new friends through gatherings. So don't feel intimidated if you're just alone moving. As a matter of fact, I would advise, if you're moving, you can try and reach out to settlement organizations, which are usually organized through the immigration department. There is a government section when they send you a welcome letter. It'll have some contacts, as well as if you know the location you want to live in, the city you want to live in, and you have religious organizations you want to be affiliated with, and this could be a church or a mosque, feel free to reach out to them, introduce yourself, let them know you're coming into the country, what days and what help you would need. You will find that Canadians in these organizations are so willing to welcome you and step up, and you'll see people bringing you food, people give you furniture, people give you clothes, and you really start to feel part of the community. So you have to be willing to reach out, introduce yourself, and welcome them into your space so they can come and give you the help that you need. And with that introduction, I'd like to say, do not forget to like, share and subscribe if you find this information helpful. As I mentioned, we will be taking deep dives into certain subjects, so feel free to leave me questions. If I don't have answers to those questions, I will do the research and I will be sure to point you into the right direction. So subscribe and join me next time as I share with you my experiences from job hunting to when I bought my first place and how I started building wealth in Canada, the resources available. So hopefully you will subscribe and I will provide you with the required information for you to feel comfortable and as you move into Canada and make it your new home. Thank you.